Fire Call, the fire safety show with Division Chief Jim Sideras.
Hi, I'm Division Chief Jim Sideras, and you are watching Fire Call from Sioux Falls Fire Rescue, where we're going to take you behind the scenes. You're going to meet some great firefighters, and they're all great firefighters with Sioux Falls Fire Rescue. Meet one of the newest captains, see some trucks, and we're going to get some of those questions you're all wanting to know answered. And we're getting emails by the ton. These are all email questions from our loyal viewers. So it's going to take us a while. You got to be patient. We'll get to your questions, providing we can figure out what some of them say, and I can also say the city you're from too. So let's start the show. Let's get to our shout outs. Our first shout out is from Trevor. Trevor lives in Toms River, New Jersey, and he wants a shout out to the Pleasant Plains Fire Department of Toms River, New Jersey, and Explorer Post 30. We like those explorers. Hopefully they're going to become great firefighters. This one's from Scott. Scott lives in Erlanger, Kentucky, and he wants a shout out to the Erlanger Fire EMS in Kentucky. Our last one's from one of our Canadian friends. This is from Ryan. Ryan lives in Fergus, Ontario, Canada, and he wants a shout out to the Center Wellington Fire Rescue Department in Fergus, Ontario. He also wants to know, do you conduct interagency exercises, or do you work with interagencies, meaning fire rescue, working with police, working with emergency management? You're going to have to hang on this one, Ryan. We are going to answer this and show you one of our newest Truck of the Month, so hang tight on that question. If we answer your questions or your shout-outs, you get yourself a sassy Sioux Falls Fire Rescue t-shirt. Only can get them here. And they're almost a collector's item. So sit back, shut off all the electronic stuff, just keep it right here so you can watch all the great stuff going on with Sioux Falls Fire Rescue. Here we are at least a 2-alarm fire. It's probably been upgraded to a 3-alarm fire. Started in one building, spread to another. And that can happen when you get a good run on a fire, and it was in the basement late at night. And I have with me Captain Dave Talley. Captain Talley, what truck were you on?
I'm on engine 1.
And what happened when you got here? You were one of the first crews here. What did you see initially when you pulled up?
We were the second crew in, directly behind Rescue 5 as we're stationed at the same place. Rolled up right behind them, and typically we'll grab a hydrant for them, which is what we were doing. But we never know whether it's just going to be some kind of a cooking or maybe a belt on top of an air conditioner on top of the building. So it wasn't very smoky at first, but we stood by that hydrant, and then it got smoky very quickly, and we pulled the hydrant up.
Now, when you went into this, what did you initially see when you got into the first building?
Well, at first, the Rescue 5 crew went in. When I went in, there was I replaced them, and there was a hole in the floor, kind of a very crowded place back there, and it was, we believe that's the access to the basement that we needed to get in order to attack this fire, and it was cluttered and covered, and there was shelving and a lot of things that fell off those shelves in that hole. We could not get to it.
Now, people are going to be saying, well, you got a fire started at one store, and now we have it spread to the other. What are reasons that can happen?
Well, in this particular case, we believe that there's a shared basement downstairs. And as we weren't able to attack the fire in the first place because of the reasons I gave earlier, I think it spread into the other side and got into the walls.
And it doesn't take an awful lot of fire once it gets in there and gets a run on you.
Absolutely not. And the heat of this thing must have been massive at that time. It was hot on the floor when I was kneeling on it before we pulled out.
And when you're on the floor like that, did you feel the heat coming up through the basement?
Well, we didn't really feel the heat on our bodies so much as our knees, and we put our hands down to check, but there was smoke coming up through the crack underneath a cooler that was next to us. And we thought with all the weight of us and that cooler, the best to pull out since we weren't making any headway.
Great. Well, thanks, Dave, and I appreciate your hard work. I'm with Captain Jim Powers, and Jim Powers is running one of the busiest trucks in the city. Now, Jim, you're out of Central Fire Station. What did you see when you first got in there? What kind of conditions did you have?
Well, when we rolled up the scene, we had some smoke coming out of the roof. We came in over on the Bravo side, made entry into the Asian store. and we had heavy smoke in there but not much heat. And as we progressed around the store, we found a spot on the floor where the camera picked up a increase in heat in the floor.
And when you say camera, you mean the thermal imaging camera?
That's right. The fire cam picked up an increase in the heat. Everything else was around 110 to 115 degrees, and that spot on the floor was 150. So we knew that the fire was below us. We kept searching, and we found where it had breached the floor where the steps are, so we couldn't make access to the basement.
Now, you've been in a lot of these fires before, but you have some new guys on your crew. How do you prepare them to not get too nervous, to listen to commands, follow orders? What do you tell your new people in getting them ready for these major fires?
Well, we train in hot, smoky fires at the training center. We talk to them about it's a team effort. I had my 2 firefighters in front of me on the hose line, and I had the fire cam, so I was monitoring for those holes in the floor. And we did find a hole in the floor where some shelving actually went through the floor ahead of us.
So if you wouldn't have been diligent in watching that, you could have actually lost someone right into a hole.
We could have gone right into the hole, yes.
And then one last thing, and people are going to say, well, how scary is this for you? Now, in your opinion, you get in there, you don't know what you got, you have fire underneath you, essentially. What concerns do you have about having a fire underneath you?
The biggest concern is that the floor is going to give away below us. And we had our forcible entry tools with us. We were sounding the floor as we were working along.
And when you say sounding the floor, what do you mean?
Taking the axe and pounding on the floor, making sure that the floor is solid, not spongy and soft like it gets when the fire is taking away most of the floor below us.
So after years of experience, this is just kind of second nature to you. This is your office?
I wouldn't say it's ever second nature. Everyone is different, and this is no different than that. It's a 2-part building that's cut up inside, so it's difficult to know where the fire will be next.
Well, I'm glad we got guys like you taking care of all our new people.
Well, I enjoy having new people with us.
I'll let you get back to them. Looks like they need some adult supervision for a while.
I doubt that. Thank you.
I'm with fire apparatus Mike Gramlich. Mike Gramlich gets the big rigs to the fire. And Mike, we got quite a few questions for you from people. Okay. One of the first ones is, now you're a driver, get to a fire, what are some of the main concerns you're going to have anytime you pull up to a structure fire or one where we think there's a fire inside?
Well, that's a good question. It was perfect tonight. First thing I'm usually thinking about, obviously, where we're going. The second thing, when we actually get on scene, I try to get my captain a 3-sided view. You try to come through, come past, go around the side. He's seen 3 of the sides. Try to figure out where we're going to position the apparatus so that we can get a good attack.
Now you have just about every line off your truck and you're pumping to right now. What are some of the concerns that you might tell other drivers about, or people want to know, how do you keep track of what's going on with all these hose lines?
Well, it's pretty simple. Water in, water out. I can't put out any more than I'm bringing in. We currently have 4 1 3/4 and 1 2.5 out. So I watch my residual, my intake pressure.
Which residual means what?
What's left over after I've already pumped it out from my discharge. Actually, we're sitting really comfortable right now. We still have 50 for our residual. We have 5 lines out and we're flowing nearly 500 gallons a minute. We're going to pass 50,000 gallons here shortly.
As we speak, that's a total amount you've been pumping out of your truck.
Since we pulled up, yeah, we're at 47,000 right now.
Now, what are some of the other things that your responsibility as a driver, what are you responsible for, and what do you do? People are going to see you standing here at the truck and not inside fighting the fire. You've done that, you promoted up to driver, but now what are your responsibilities in this role of a driver?
Well, like everyone on a fire scene, we always have to be watching for safety for everyone. A lot of things that we're going to do, I set up lights, I set up equipment around, I get guys things, fill their air bottles when they need them, just about anything I can do to support my crew after I've gotten my initial setup done.
So your job really never stops. You're either getting ready, getting to the fire, getting set up, pumping, and then you're kind of a jack of all trades assisting the crew.
Yeah, you're really the only guy that has some freedom around the truck. Everyone else is pretty much assigned. You know, and even like right now, we have the guys over there, they're going to set up another stick just to be safe. Well, I have to watch and see when they pull their 5-inch if that steals water from me, because we're all pulling from hydrants in the same area.
Now, when you say put up a stick, people are going to email us and say, what's a stick?
Well, that's what some of us call the ladder companies. So we have a ladder company going to set up. If they pull another 5-inch, if it happens to be on the same run from hydrant, just like that, I have to watch for a spike in the water because it'll cause problems for my guys down hose.
Right. Well, thanks a lot, Mike, and we'll let you get back to your job.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
When we have these large fires, we got to figure out how they started, what caused them, and how do we prevent those from happening in the future. And with me right now is Fire Inspector Russ Towns. Now, Russ, you've been around the department for how many years?
23 years, Jim.
Wow. When you look at this, why is it important that you're on scene right now while the fire is going on?
Yeah. Well, it's always good to be here as soon as possible so you can see the fire before it gets, to this magnitude. Okay. Right now we've got so much damage, it's going to be really hard to pinpoint exactly where it started. But if I can talk to the crews that were first here, they'll give me an idea of what they saw, where they saw it, first start, where the hot spots were, and that'll give me a idea of where to start looking.
So you take what the first-hand accounts are, put those all together, and that's where it really kind of narrows down your focus for the cause of this fire?
Right. That's where I'll start my investigation. And then that'll give us a general area, and then from there we'll try to narrow it down to the exact point of origin.
And then what are some of the other concerns you have from an inspection standpoint and an investigation standpoint when you have a fire this large?
Yeah, well, obviously the safety standpoint, we get in there and start investigating, and we always have to be concerned about collapse or anything falling in. A lot of the evidence has probably been destroyed, so it's going to be a little harder of a job to dig through it and try to find out exactly where it started.
Okay, well, I'll let you get back to work, Russ, and thanks a lot for your help.
All right.
Everybody wants to know about fire hoses, and I have no one better to answer that question than newly promoted Captain Mark Bukovic. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Has it been a month yet?
Just about.
Oof.
Getting there.
You're going to do a good job if you can answer these questions.
Of course.
Okay, here's the first question. This one comes from Zach. Zach lives in Sioux Falls, and he wants to know, can fire hoses be run over, or will they tear?
No, fire hoses can't be run over. They will tear. In fact, there's been many instances when they've been run over either by pedestrians driving their personal vehicles or by other fire trucks, and they have burst, causing, of course, major problems for us. And in fact, in the City of Sioux Falls, there's an ordinance where it's illegal to run over any fire hose, whether it's charged or uncharged.
Charged meaning?
Charged meaning it's full of water. Uncharged being we're just laying it out. We haven't charged it with water yet. You run over the hoses, the cops will come and pull you over and give you a ticket. There is a fine.
And it's a safety thing for us, too.
Absolutely. Well, it's a safety thing for us and all the people that we're trying to serve and help and save.
Sure. Okay, this question comes from two people, Logan in Marietta, Georgia, and also John. John lives in Zanesville, Ohio. And they want to know how much hose is carried on a regular truck in Sioux Falls. Now, trucks across the country can vary, but what do we do in Sioux Falls?
Standard for an engine hose complement in the City of Sioux Falls, we carry 700 foot of 5-inch supply hose, which is what we connect to the hydrant generally. We carry 900 foot of 2.5. Okay. We carry also an additional 200 foot of 2.5 that's pre-connected for an attack line.
Sure.
And then we also carry 400 foot of 1 3/4 line, which is pre-connected in 200 foot chunks for an attack line. These are generally just like this right here. Some places call them a cross lay. We call them, a speed lay. But real fast to deploy. They're already connected to the discharge. Pump operator just has to pull the lever. We have water right away. This is generally what we drag into the house to put up the fire.
So 1 3/4, usually interior attacks?
Generally, we can use 2.5.
Sure.
2.5, of course, takes more personnel because it's larger and heavier.
Last question from Matt. Matt lives in Berkeley Heights, New Jersey. And Matt wants to know, we just talked about different sizes of hoses. He wants to know what are the different sizes of hose used for.
Okay.
And what would we be used? Okay, 5-inch.
Great example. 5-inch hose. Generally in Sioux Falls, 5-inch hose is utilized for a supply line, meaning we attach it to the hydrant, then the hose comes in and attaches to the intake on the pump. And that's what we use for a supply line. 2.5 and 1 3/4 are generally taken from the pump or from the truck to the fire. Now we can utilize 2.5 for supply if we need to, for either additional supply or if we don't quite need all the water of a 5-inch. So 2.5 is pretty versatile. We can use it for either. 1 3/4 pretty small hose for a supply line. So generally that's just an attack hose.
So just remember, pull a 5-inch to the for the hydrant, 1 3/4 into the house.
Exactly.
Great. Well, Mark, I hope your career is going to be as bright as it is right now.
I hope so too.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
We have a lot of questions about self-contained breathing apparatus. I'm going to read off. We have 5 people that have the same question. The first one's from Nicholas. Nicholas lives in Alcade, South Australia. Art lives in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. Eric lives in Murraysville, Pennsylvania. God, you guys must all be watching from Pennsylvania. Mike lives in Liberty, Missouri. And last but not least, Ryan, Steelton, Pennsylvania. They all want to know, what are the parts of an SCBA? What makes up an SCBA? So we have two of the best people to answer those questions. Brian Peters is going to answer the questions, and we're going to use Mike Isaac, who can't say much right now, and you're going to be our demonstrator. You ready? Okay. Brian, why don't you go through all the parts of an SCBA for us? And
Okay.
you can have Mike turn around if you need to.
Turn around, Mike. We're going to start from the back here. Of course, this is our SCBA bottle. This is the air that he'll be breathing when he goes on air.
And what are they made out of? We talked
This
about
is
the old days, they were steel.
Fiberglass. The old ones were steel. The new ones are now spun fiberglass. They're a lot lighter. From there, of course, we go down to the valving system. It turns it on. And then it goes into an audio alarm, which this device here, when this gets down to 25% of the volume left in it, this alarm will go off to tell him it's time to get out of the house.
Okay.
From there, it goes up to a first stage regulator, which drops this 3,000 pounds down to about 80 pounds of pressure. And
Does that make it more manageable to breathe then?
Yep. Then it comes up to which is the second stage regulator. This drops it down from the 80 pounds to just above atmospheric pressure. So he's always got pressure in his mask.
Why is it important that there's always pressure in that mask?
That way, it's always pushing air out.
So if he gets
you're
a
not
leak,
inhaling any smoke.
so if there's a smoke,
Toxic
he's not going to
gases.
have to worry about it getting sucked back in when he
Yep.
breathes. Okay.
And then, of course, when he puts this on, you got your bottle on.
And we
Now
heard
he-
a
now he's
bell when
Yep.
when he turned it on. What's the bell mean?
That bell, it just indicates that it's working. When
Okay.
he first turns it on, it goes past that 25%.
Okay.
And then, of course, he's breathing now into his mask.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever he's breathing is coming out of that tank. Here we have a amplifier. He can turn that on. Then when he speaks, it amplifies his voice.
Go for it,
So we
Mike.
can hear him better.
Sounds like this.
Okay. So you can talk pretty clearly in the house.
Yep.
Into a radio.
Into
okay.
his radio. It's
Better than having
a lot
to yell
better
through
hearing.
the mask.
Yep.
Okay. And now this last part.
Here we have the pass alarm.
Wait. We have two questions on pass
Okay.
alarms. This one comes from Sean in Modesto, California, and Ralph lives in Alquipia, Pennsylvania, and they want to know what's a pass alarm. So PASS, P-A-S-S, what's that stand for?
Well, it stands for Personal Alert Safety System.
Okay.
Okay. Now this here, on this unit, of course, it tells him how many pounds of pressure he's got in his tank.
So he's just like he's almost like what in England or in Europe they call them smoke divers. He's actually basically relying on this to keep him alive, just like a scuba diver would be looking at his
Yep.
gauge, his pressure gauge.
Yep.
So he can see that.
He can tell how many he's got. When, of course, just like the audio alarm back here, when this gets down to 25%, they'll go off about the same time. And it'll actually, there's little lights up here. This is the receiving unit. This will
Okay.
send a radio signal up to here, and then there's a series of lights.
So heads-up
that
display.
Yep. That also tells him how much pressure he's got in there.
Okay, so now what's this? So he has this. Now what happens if he goes down? How does the PASS alarm system work if he has problems?
Okay, if he's down for 30 to 40 seconds and not moving, if he's injured, this thing will go into an alarm state,
Okay.
telling him that, hey, if you're not injured, you better move, and it'll step up 3 times. And then that third time, he can't reset.
Increasing in volume?
Yep.
Okay.
And that alerts other firefighters that we have a man down, and then they can find him.
Okay.
This is the first step.
So that's telling
Now
him. Second
Yep.
step?
Now he can hit that and it'll stop it now,
Okay.
but now he can't.
Oh,
Oop, you got it too early.
way to go, Mike.
And also, if he gets injured and needs help and he knows it, he don't have to wait for that. He can also hold this button in.
So
And that's
if he's lost in a building, needs help, he can
Yep.
set this PASS alarm off himself.
Yep, he can set it off
Perfect.
himself. And
And all
We can
of
come
them
and find
have
him.
this. Great
Yep.
device to have.
yep, we all have them.
Perfect. Well, thanks, Brian, and thanks, Mike, and hope you don't get too warm in there. Got the truck of the month, and this month we got one of the newest, best trucks in the country, bar none, all for incident command. All comes around this question. This question's from Jason. Jason lives in Los Angeles, California. Jason wants to know, does Sioux Falls Fire Rescue send support to major crises in our region? To answer this question, we have Doug Blumker. Doug is with Minnehaha County Management. And Doug, we're going to take some time out of your schedule to show us this new truck and answer some questions.
No problem.
Okay, let's take a look at the truck.
All right, sounds great.
Now, Doug, when we look at this, where did the funding come from for a vehicle of this size?
This came through Homeland Security dollars. About a year and a half to 2 years ago, the county got together and basically felt that there was a need for a vehicle like this to handle large-scale incidents or large-scale gatherings or events within the county and within the region. So a committee was formed through the 4 major agencies within the county, the Sheriff's Office, Fire and Rescue, Police Department, and Emergency Management. We formed a design committee, and basically this is the end result of what we came up with.
And the purpose of this truck then is really to bring all those entities into a command post, again, following unified command, put them into one spot, and have this as our command post to handle just about anything.
Exactly.
Perfect, and it can travel and set up.
Exactly.
Now, when we look at this truck, there's some things I'm kind of interested about. We have satellite dishes on the top.
Correct.
What are they for?
We have internet capability, so we can bring up internet for information for any of our incidents anywhere within the county or basically anywhere within the state. We have cell phone capability, of course, within the truck. There's capability for satellite phones, television, of course, so we can view local media. So the idea of this truck is to basically have a spot where our incident commanders can come in, gather any type of information they need, and make wise decisions and good, timely decisions in an event.
Now, in the back part here, there's a drop-down panel. It looks like it has a LCD screen. What's the purpose of that?
That is basically used for multiple different types of events. That can be used, for example, for briefing for media. Mm-hmm. It can be used for if we have volunteers or people responding to an incident. We can bring them to that location. We can bring up anything that we have inside, for example, off the camera system. The truck has a 25-foot camera boom on it that can be raised so we can get shots of an area from a long distance away. Or we can bring up something from the internet, and we can basically brief our people or the media and inform them of what's going on. And
let's go take a look inside.
Okay.
Doug, it looks like, as we sit in the command post part of this, every single inch has been thought out and every space has been used wisely. Can you tell us what's in here if you were setting up an incident?
Well, basically we have, of course, computer capability in here. That's necessary, of course, for the ability to maintain records on the incident, to document things that are going on, also for information for our commanders and people that are working at incidents so that they know what's going on and they can help make them decisions as far as what's happening here as well. We also have multiple radio capability in here, so I mean we can be using this area for large communications in an incident. There are digital radios in here as well as an analog radio and an aircraft radio as well too.
And every person has a console, essentially, that they can talk on their radio frequencies.
Exactly.
Looks like every inch of this has been made so you can write notes on.
Exactly. So you record keeping.
So I don't have to write in my hand anymore.
Exactly. You can sit down with a marker, you make some quick notes, and again, pass this on to the people that need to have the information.
Now on this side, you have this looks like kind of a jumbotron here for a computer screen.
Exactly. This is where one of the computers are hooked up into in the command center. Basically what I brought up here is a map, and this is basically where we're at right now at Fire Station 10.
So that's our building. We're parked right at, wow, how did I do that?
Exactly. Well, this is what's called a smart board. So the smart board basically will react to whoever's around it. And with this, for example, if we have an incident, let's say we need to talk about deploying resources or something. Okay, if this will come back up here in a second, we can basically sit down and we can start writing on this, and then we can show how we're deploying our resources. So when the people are here,
so if we have a major spill into this water area, we can decide where we're going to boom at, where we're going to stage our vehicles at.
You can say, all right, we're going to boom right across here, and do that. We're going to place people here, here, down here, and then you can just put that all right up there. And again, when you're done with that, very simply, it just acts just like a blackboard. So you can erase everything and just start over. And again, this has a capability that everything on here can be saved to computer. So if we're doing an after action report, you can have all this and
this can be beamed out to the one outside.
And we can show exactly our responders outside what's going on.
Let's take a look in the back.
Okay.
Now, obviously, we're going to be set up. This is going to be a large duration call, probably. So this is set up for long duration operations.
Correct.
How have you planned for that?
Well, I mean, we have a small galley area here, just some basic creature comforts. We have a microwave, refrigerator so we can keep some cold drinks or something, and just some idea here to just keep a few snacks if we need to. So, I mean, it's not something where you're going to spend, sleeping in here. But again, if somebody needs to work in here for a number of hours, we've tried to make it as comfortable as possible. The area back here is where our incident commanders are going to be. This kind of mirrors what you have up front, but just to a smaller scale. We have a workstation here with a radio. Again, a smart board which duplicates what we have up front. So
I want a smart board. I want one in my house.
Yeah, I'll talk to your kids because every one of our kids know exactly how to use these things as well. And again, we can document back here. This is the controls for the camera system. And again, that's a 25-foot beam, so we can shoot that straight up in the air. And that camera image can be put to any one of the monitors or televisions within the command center, or to all of them all at the same time, so people know exactly what's going on.
You even have a built-in printer.
Correct.
So you don't even have to step out or fax it out and go get a copy and bring it back
Everything
in.
can be done back here. This will collate, and if we have incident action plans, we can send everything right here and make copies of it, so when our people show up, we can hand them a copy of that.
So you not only have, so obviously you can get rid of the fax, you can go right to email, send secured email.
Correct.
Perfect.
Exactly.
This is well done, Doug. You guys really went out of your way to come up with a great project.
We wanted to get the most bang for our buck, and from what we saw, this design seemed to fit our needs the best.
Been in service for how long now? It's a really short period of time.
It's a very short time. In fact, there's still a few things that we're working on with it right now, but for the most part, if we have a major incident, this is ready to go. We can put it out, and we can definitely start to work with it.
Well, everybody appreciates all your hard work and the hard work of you and Linda Young on spearheading this project.
Well, thank you. And again, this was a group effort between a lot of different people. So fire department, police department, sheriff's office. There were people in every agency that stepped in and stepped aboard and helped with this. So I can't take credit for the whole thing, and there's a lot of people behind this. So
well, thank you very much for your hard work, Doug.
Thank you.
No day is the same as Sioux Falls Fire Rescue. You come to work, you could be running a cardiac arrest EMS call. Maybe you're going to be woken up at 2 in the morning and you're going on twin structure fires that turn into second and third alarm fires. That's what makes firefighting such a different profession, and it isn't like going to work and moving widgets from one side to the other. It's a tough job, takes tough people to do it, and that's why we got the best here at Sioux Falls Fire Rescue. Now, we've got a couple last shout-outs, and this one's from Jacob. Jacob lives in Camp Hill, Pennsylvania. He wants a shout-out to the Camp Hill Fire Department, Pennsylvania. We also got a shout-out to, this is from Ben. Ben lives in Sidmond, Pennsylvania. Wants a shout-out to the firefighters of the City of Johnston Fire Department. Must be in Pennsylvania, too. And our last shout-out, took us a while to figure this one out. Like I said, we just got to figure out your email sometimes. This one's from Adam. Adam lives in Truman, Minnesota, but he wants a shout-out to the Blaine Fire Department, Station 13 in Eglin, South Carolina. Hey, wherever you want to shout out to, we'll try and get it to you, and we're going to get you a shirt because we like your shout-outs, we like your questions. Get a Sioux Falls Fire Rescue shirt. Hey, just can't beat it. I hope you had a good time. I love taking behind the scenes, and it's great to let you see what we're doing. And we're also looking for good firefighters. So if you're interested in being a firefighter, hop on our website, take a look. We're always looking for the best and the brightest for Sioux Falls Fire Rescue. My name is Division Chief Jim Sideras, and you're watching Fire Call.